Welcome in, y'all. I'm very excited to finally be bringing you my Week 1 NFL picks. The time has finally come. The NFL season is just a few days away, and we're going to jump right into it. We're going to be picking straight up and against the spread for all the games. So the first one, we're going to have to start with the Cowboys and Eagles, the kickoff game, and the big news of the Parsons trade just a few days ago really shakes up the Cowboys' outlook on this season. I don't know what they were thinking with that trade. It really is confusing also given Jerry Jones' age. You think he'd be more in on the win now and not building draft picks for the future where, bless his heart, may not be around. But this is a game that the spread has jumped up to 7.5 points in favor of the Eagles, and they're the defending Super Bowl champs. They're at home, and you're thinking it could be a big day for them. And I agree. I think the Eagles roster is still very much intact. They're gearing up for a repeat. But the Cowboys, the Parsons trade stunk, but don't let it distract you. They have some playmakers there. I think they're going to have a mediocre season, but they're not going to be a doormat by any means. And I think this is a team that can compete, especially in Week 1. I think they keep it close enough. They keep it within the 7.5. Give me a final score of 30-24. Eagles beating the Cowboys. I think the Eagles definitely win this game. I'd be surprised if they didn't, but I think whether it's a late touchdown or whatever, I think the Cowboys wind up covering a big 7.5 number. But then we have a great game for Brazil here. You have the Chiefs and the Chargers. I know the Chargers with the offensive line injuries, that is brutal. That's going to hurt them all season long. But they're still a very well-built roster. I'm surprised to see them on a neutral site, underdog by a full 3.5 to Kansas City. Although Kansas City might have a bit of a bone to pick just with the league. They were kind of talked down on for a team that had a 15-2 record, and then they come out and get absolutely destroyed in the Super Bowl. They probably have a bit of a chip on their shoulders. I think they improved a little bit, surprisingly, in the offseason, and they could be dangerous to come out and start this year, but I think the Chargers and Harbaugh and their game plan is going to be enough to slow them down. I am going to go with the Chiefs to win this one, coming off that tough Super Bowl loss, but I do like the Chargers to keep it within the 3.5. The Chiefs play so many close games as is, and the Chargers are a very good team this year, so I like the Chargers to cover, but to just lose a close one there in Brazil, it's going to be a great game. Then we move on to Sunday. Great Sunday slate here. You start off with an Aaron Rodgers revenge game. I guess both teams are trying to get revenge. The Jets just felt like they had kind of 2 years of their time wasted and got nothing but a couple wins out of it. And Aaron Rodgers getting cut by them after flying all across the country for just a couple minute meeting. So a little bit of bad blood on both sides. And I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I think I'm obviously higher on Pittsburgh throughout the entire year. But you could be concerned of a slow start for Rodgers and the Steelers. We remember last season, the Jets, their first couple games didn't look great. It kind of took Rodgers into the back half of the year to really get going. Now the Jets are also breaking in a new quarterback, though. That's to be remembered. You have Justin Fields there in New York. But this is one of those, it's only a 3-point spread, and I like the upset pick here. You ask me about this game if it's in Week 12 or 13, I think I'm flipping it. But Week 1, I kind of like the Jets at home to play a little sneaky spoiler there against the Steelers and get a upset victory to start what will probably be a disappointing year for the Jets, but it would be awesome for them to start it off with a win, so I'll take them there. Then we have the Cardinals visiting the Saints. Look, the Saints should be one of the worst teams in football. They have the worst odds to win the Super Bowl. They're bad. I watched some of their preseason, even when their starters are in. It made me even think worse of them. I was like getting convinced of some of their fans. It's like, maybe they have some hope. And then I was watching, and I'm like, this team is horrible. So the Saints, I think, are going to be pretty rough this year. They're on Arch Manning watch right away. And the Cardinals, they're looking to turn it around this year. They're hoping this is the year they put together a full season. It's a fairly easy schedule to start the year. They're going to need to capitalize on that. And I think it starts in Week 1 with a big win over the Saints, giving the Cardinals to win that one 30-13 in the Big Easy. And then we move on to what should be a closer game. The Colts favored by 1.5 here at home against the Dolphins. This should be a fun one. This should be a close one. Two teams that are about the same level in the AFC. The Colts are kind of in that middle of the pack range where it feels like they're going to end up with 7 or 8 wins no matter what. The Dolphins feel a little boomer bust-ish. I'm more on the bust side for them, but they do have some talent in there where if Tua stays healthy, they could have a great year. But I am going to go ahead and take the Colts at home here. I do like this one. Part of me is honestly a little surprised the Colts are favored in this one. I mean, I like I said, I'm leaning Colts to win, but something about I'm surprised the public, I guess, is as well, or Vegas is. So curious there, but I will take the Colts to win and cover the 1.5, and the Colts move to 1-0. Then we move to Foxborough. This is one of the most interesting games of the week for me. There's a lot of interesting games this week, obviously, but you have the Raiders. I love what they did. I love the additions. This is a team that they made the right moves to stabilize. They're no longer going to be a doormat. They brought in Geno Smith, Pete Carroll. They're going to win some games. They might not make the playoffs. They're not going to compete for a Super Bowl, but they're going to win some games, And then you have the Patriots on the flip side. With this easy schedule, they're thinking, hey, we need to take advantage of this and make the playoffs. It's a very easy schedule. Go look at it. It's super easy. But Drake May, year 2, he looked great in year 1. Then you bring in the Vrabel hire, you bring in Stephon Diggs. I think the Patriots have a lot of preseason hype, and can they live up to it? I don't know. We'll see. I'm very curious to see in week 1, because the Raiders are a great measuring stick, because Raiders are going to be one of those teams that they're solid. They're solid. So if you beat them, it's definitely impressive. But if you do lose to them at home in week 1, it could be kind of a sign. It's like, all right, pump the brakes on this Patriots hype. It might be another year. It's going to take the rest of this year to get going. So I'm very curious about that one. But with that being said, I'm going to take the Patriots to win it. I'm going to take them to win it by 3 points, cover that 2.5. Don't feel great about this one. I think early in the season, like when the schedule was released, I was like, I love this one for the Patriots. The closer we get to the game, the less confident I am. But I still am more confident in the Patriots to win this one than I am the Raiders. So give me the Pats 26-23. Then we move on to the Giants playing Washington. And people forget that these 2 games were close last year. They were both close on the scoreboard. Second one was not quite as close in true play style, but was still a close game. So you do have to remember that about these 2 teams. And Washington's the better team, though, there's no doubt. But the Giants have some pieces you got to like, especially on that D-line. But Washington, they're trying to prove that last year wasn't a fluke. 12-5. It was an easy schedule last year, a bit tougher this year, but they can't lose this first one. And I don't think they do. I don't think they lose it, but I think the Giants cover 6.5. So Washington wins this one 28-23, but give me the Giants plus 6.5 there. So I think the Giants can make that game a little interesting. The Commanders' weak defense could help the Giants and Russell Wilson kind of start the year off well. And then the next game, another super interesting one here. I love this one. Panthers and Jaguars. You're looking at Bryce Young and the Panthers, who really came on at the end of last year. Was it a fluke? Were they just playing without any pressure on them? Were they catching teams off guard? Or did they truly make a step up? And then the offseason additions, if that's the case, should propel them into another level, at least offensively. And they should be able to win a decent amount of games this year. But then you have the Jags, who, you're entering year 5 of Trevor Lawrence. That's crazy. And really not much to show for it. 1 playoff win, but a couple years here where it's just been a struggle. And he's got to start winning games. The team is pretty decent there, and they should be able to win games, especially in that division. They should be able to compete for the division. I think this one's going to be close. I think it's going to be tight. I think Jaguars favored by 3.5 is a bit much in my opinion. So I'm going to take the Jags to win, but I'll take the Panthers within that 3.5. Give me 31-28 in favor of Jacksonville. But this is one I really could see going either way. Either team winning would not surprise me here. Then moving on, a bit less interesting in this game, you have the Browns with Joe Flacco at home against Burrow and the Bengals. Yes, the Bengals start slow every year. I don't think they're going to lose this game, though. They changed things in the preseason. They have their minds right. They're really focusing on the fact they've started slow, and that really should help them into this game. And I think it's a bit lower scoring, I guess. Not too low scoring actually. 27-17. I like the Bengals. I like them to cover 5.5 as well. This feels like one where it's a bit sluggish maybe to start. Sure, Browns have a pretty decent defense, especially compared to their offense. So they can maybe hold down the Bengals for a little bit, but I think ultimately the Bengals do win, and they win by 2 scores. Then moving on, we have a very, very fun NFC South clash. The 2 favorites to win the division going at it in week 1. Bucs at Falcons. I think I said it when breaking down the week 1 games earlier. The Falcons have to win this game. You have to win this game. In my opinion, the Bucs are a better team, and the Bucs should win the division. But the Falcons want to prove people wrong. If they want to win this division, you have to win this game. You are at home against the Bucs. This is your best chance to kind of gain a leg up on them to start the year. And you lose this, they just came into your house and beat you. It's not a good look, and it's not a good outlook for your chances to compete for the division. With that being said, Tampa Bay is favored in this one by a couple points, and I agree with that. I'm going to take the Bucs to win. I'm going to take them to win 31-23 here. I like the Bucs. I like Baker. I really like what they did. Falcons team is fine. It's a fine team, but I don't think they fixed enough on defense to really be out there competing. So we will see. Then we move on to the late games on Sunday, 4:05 Eastern here on Fox. You got the Niners and Seahawks, another divisional clash. Not the two favorites to win the division. That would be the Niners and the Rams in the West, but still two teams who could compete for that division. The Seahawks brought in Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp. I don't love the additions, but we will see. The O-line was one of the worst in the leagues last year. They're hoping that it improves, but I'm not sold necessarily yet. And I don't trust Sam Darnold behind a shaky O-line, if I'm going to be honest. The Niners, I don't know if I can trust them either. A lot of injury issues, some even coming into the year. They have a lot of top-end talent, but outside of that, there's a lot of weak players on that roster, and a lot of young guys. They really got to step up, and you can't always count on that. So I don't know. I think this is going to be an interesting game to learn about these two. But ultimately, I like Kyle Shanahan in this one, and the Niners, Brock Purdy. Give me the 49ers on the road to win this one 24-19. Then we're moving on. Titans at Broncos. This one, man. I think this one I saw it was at 8.5. It's down to 7.5. And all I'm thinking is, what's going on? I think you have rookie Cam Ward with a questionable Titans roster going on the road in his first ever NFL game against one of the best defenses in the league. And you could not write a script better for a blowout. This just screams blowout to me. Sorry, Titans. I mean, it's not like they're going to, make a run to the playoffs or Super Bowl this year. They're just hoping to win 5 or 6 games. But this is a brutal way to start it off. Give me the Broncos to roll at home, 30-10, easily covering the 7.5. I'd be shocked if it went the other way, but obviously other people disagree with me, so we will see. Then we move on to those 4:25 Eastern games on CBS in the late window. We have the Rams hosting the Texans. This is a great game. Two teams that have gone 10-7 2 years in a row. Both teams won their division last year. Both teams won the first playoff game and lost in the second to the team that ended up going on to the Super Bowl. So a lot of similarities, at least in results-wise, from these teams. The Texans scare me a bit, especially with that offensive line. I love the additions the Rams made. They shored up their run defense with Poona Ford, and they added Devontae Adams in place of a injury-prone Cooper Kupp. So we'll see if those additions hold. But this is a fun Week 1 game. I think the Week 1 here favors the Rams. McVay is notoriously good. And Week 1's tough spot for the Texans going out to the West Coast. And I'm going to lean the Rams here. They're favored by 2.5. And I think they win by about a touchdown here, maybe a little less. But I'm going to go 27-20. Rams over the Texans in that one. But that should be a great game, and it should be a close game throughout the whole thing. I don't really see either team really pulling ahead of the other. But then we move on to the prime 4:25 game. We have Lions at Packers on CBS. Packers favored by 2.5, pushing 3. And, that big Parsons trade bringing a lot of hype around these Packers, and I don't disagree. But I was surprised to see, even before the trade, the Packers favored by several points at home against the Lions. I think these two teams are going to be battling all season long for that division crown. And they both have very difficult schedules. This win would go a long way for whichever team can get it. And this is a tricky one. I think the Lions are a team that thrive off of underdog mentality. And it's hard to find when you're such a good team. Not many people have you underdog. but they're coming off a brutal playoff loss. They lose both coordinators, couple linemen. They're underdog on the road at Green Bay, who's getting all the hype for Parsons. I think this is one of the few opportunities this year Campbell will have to hype them up around being the underdogs. And, defensive players don't often have a huge impact in that first game or two. Sometimes their impact is overrated in those first few games, and I think it's a great spot for the Lions to come in and sneak out a little upset that people might not be expecting. Give me the Lions in Green Bay to take down the Packers, although later in the season in Detroit, I might have the Packers winning that one, but time will tell. But this will be a fun game. One way or another, I expect it to be very close, come down to the wire, and it's going to be a fun watch to see these teams all season long battling for that division crown. But next up is two teams that could very well be competing for the conference crown come January. This could be a potential AFC championship preview. You have the Ravens, you have the Bills. This is the divisional rematch from last year. This is the top two MVP candidates, two stacked teams. This is everything you could hope for on a Sunday night football game that's actually on NBC, not CBS, like it says there. So this is a great one, and the Bills only being favored by 1.5 shows you this kind of a toss-up game, and I've gone back and forth. It feels impossible to pick this one, especially on week 1. So when push comes to shove here, Bills favored by 1.5. I do give the benefit of the doubt to the home team in this one, so give me the Bills to win by 2, 28-26, but that's going to be a great one. Could go either way and could be very, very important for a tiebreaker for playoff seeding. Could determine who has this home game in January when they likely face off again. But then Monday Night Football finally made it to Monday night. What a great game here. Vikings and Bears. You get J.J. McCarthy, his first game in the NFL after sitting out an entire season due to injury, and he's on the road in what will likely be a raucous Soldier Field on a primetime Monday Night Football game against the Ben Johnson revitalized Bears. And the Vikings are favored on the road, which I think first off should tell you how good this Vikings roster is, like I've been saying all offseason. But at the same time, to me, I don't love that. I like the Bears at home here a bit more. I think this is a tough spot for the Vikings. Give me the Bears at home to win this one. His first ever NFL game on the road primetime, it's just a tough spot. Not saying he can't handle it. He's won a national championship. He knows how to handle pressure. But this is a whole different monster. And I think the Bears are going to have a few tricks in the bag to kind of announce themselves that they're going to compete this year. I think they want to show some flashes on offense. I think we're going to see that in the first game. But anyways, the season is just a few days away now. Let me know where y'all disagree on these picks, and we'll find out in just a few days' time how right or wrong I was.